Hello and welcome to my 10 Biggest Books Tag Answers. This is an original tag created by Alan from Big Hard Books and Classics, and I was tagged by Alan. This was an easy one to do, and if it looks like I'm surrounded by books, that's because I am. I also have a little Tiki who is debating about whether she's going to jump up and help me with this tag. So you might see a little kitty tail popping up. Now, the funny thing, and I'm looking through here, of these 10, I think I actually picked 11 books. None of them are on my beefcake tag list of chunky monkeys, here she is, that I am planning to read in 2025, and I only have 4 months left. Now, 2 of the books I knew I wouldn't finish because they're much longer, bigger reads, but I was hoping to get 8 of them done and still haven't got there. But these are some chunky monkeys, some newly acquired, so that's part of why they weren't on the list. 2 have been waiting for probably 25 years, and I need to get them started, but here we go. The first book, and this was a new to me book, The Secret Doctrine by H.P. Blavatsky. I've done a video on Madame Blavatsky, my Hoax or Holy Grail, and I very much would like to read this work. This massive work was completed originally by hand. Back when Madame Blavatsky wrote this, there were no computers. It was all handwritten, and I'm very curious to read what she produced. Next up, and this is another thrift store find, I did read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy decades ago, but I had no idea that it was a series, and I lucked into getting all the books in one. So definitely looking forward to revisiting Hitchhiker's Guide and reading the other novels that go with it. Being a fan of H.P. Lovecraft, when I was a teen, the only Lovecraft story I knew was the Dunwich Horror. For some reason, I'd never gone on to read any of his other works. A couple of years ago, I picked up a compendium of his work that included the Dunwich Horror, Cthulhu, Dagon, and a couple of others. I've also read some of his short stories in different collections that I borrowed from the library. So when I saw this horror omnibus that includes all of his works, I definitely knew it was something I wanted to pick up so that I could enjoy all of his stories. And this collection includes 41. I'll be working my way slowly through that. Next up is a rebuy, The Golden Bough. This is by Sir James George Frazer, one of the 20th century's most influential books. I had it decades ago. I started reading it. I wasn't sure it was really for me. I did come across an abridged copy, which is so much smaller. So when I saw the full copy by Sir James Frazer himself, I decided I may as well pick it up and work my way through it, as this ties in with a number of the studies that I began this year. Another amazing thrift store find recently was the Mammoth book of Celtic myths and legends. This is by Peter Berresford Ellis. I've read his book on the Druids. Wasn't really particularly a writing style or There was just something about it I didn't enjoy myself, but I do enjoy Celtic myths and legends, so I'm hoping that this turns out to be a better read. In any case, I know I have some of these myths and legends in other books, so it will be an interesting comparison either way. Next up, the worldwide UFO cover-up, Above Top Secret. This is by Timothy Good. I found this at my thrift store last year as I was just finishing up my UFO conspiracy theory reads. So it's been waiting patiently for me to read it this year, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. I've picked up a number of other books about this subject. As you can see, it's not going to be a short read. Looking forward to delving into this over the next few months. Tying in with all of that, and this was one of my latest purchases, yes, again from the thrift store, Conspiracies and Secret Societies, The Complete Dossier. This is the second edition, and it's by Brad Steiger and Sherry Steiger. It covers UFOs, cryptids, the government, all kinds of other things. What I'll be doing, because I also picked up a different conspiracy book, is connecting those two, reading the sections they have. Obviously, they just cover each issue in a few pages. They're not deep dives, but it certainly is a starting point for some of the subjects. That covers the thrift store finds and the big books. Next, and these came from Indigo, like I say, it's probably been at least 25 years that they've patiently waited. I've mentioned this book before. This is Ghosts, True Encounters with the World Beyond. Haunted Places, Haunted Houses, Haunted People. This is by Hans Holzer, a parapsychologist who was quite well known in, I believe, the 1970s, 1980s. So in this book, I'll come across many of the haunted stories most people know. Amityville Horror. He may have had something to do with the Enfield investigation and so many others. I'll be working through this slowly, and part of this will also be involved with my Friday ghost stories. So I'll be reading different stories, but not necessarily word for word, just summarizing the events. Now that I'm talking about this book, it is on my beefcake list, and it's one that I knew I wouldn't be finishing this year. Another book that's been patiently waiting, and also by Hans Holzer, go figure, says author of Ghosts right on the front, is Witches. True Encounters with Wicca, Wizards, Covens, Cults, and Magic. I am impressed there is a K at the end of Magic. That is to differentiate between magic as in the spiritual sense of the word, whether that's high magic, etc., versus magic done by magicians, which is sleight of hand. I've yet to read this, but I am definitely very curious what stories will come up in here. And like Ghosts, it will be a slow read and ties in perfectly with my big pagan study project from this year. Book number 10, Secrets of the Waite-Smith Tarot. This is by Marcus Katz and Tali Goodwin. I've had this for quite some time, and I've worked through their other book, 78 Days Around the Tarot. I did it differently than they have it in the book, but it was a very helpful resource and a wonderful way to learn about the cards and get familiar with the various symbols in them. I mentioned this book when Alan and I did a live stream together recently, and we were talking about tarot and other hobbies. Alan was familiar with this book, said it's a great resource, so it's definitely moved to the top of my to be read soon pile. One final book that I do want to mention, so I cheated, there's 11, but I do love the look of this book. This was also from Indigo, as was the Waite-Smith Tarot. This is Moon Magic, Lunar Spells to Attract an Enchanted Life. This is by Marie Bruce. I've never read anything by her before, but I definitely love the shiny silver cover, the silver sprayed edges. I've mentioned before I don't do spells, but I'm looking forward to the read, and this, I know, Noah will be shocked, will be one of the few books that no, I will not be annotating in it. I'll certainly be making note. I'll use my little sticky tabs, but there will be no highlighting or annotating in this book. I can't say the same for any of the other books, but this one is just, I don't know, too pretty to annotate. Let me know in the comments down below. Have you read any of the chunky monkeys that I've mentioned? Are you interested in some of the titles I've mentioned? As always, I'll leave a list of all the books in the description box down below, included with the authors. A big thank you to Alan for creating this tag and tagging me. It was fun to go through my shelves and yes, realize I have some massive books on top of my beefcake books that I really need to start getting to. And that's part of this getting organized and thinking about where I'm going with my reading and my studies. Until next time, remember, be safe, be well, and don't try to lift a pile of books that might be a little too heavy.